Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Never alone. When your hope has been broken and the fear is unspoken but true. Never alone. Like a dream in a child or a childish dream in you. When you can't seem to find your way home. When life gets too hard, face it on your own. I'll stand as a light through your darkest unknown. I'll walk with you. Never alone. Never alone. Never alone. Like a tear in the ocean or a star on a clear winter's night. Never alone. When the courage you needed has almost defeated in you. When you can't seem to find your way home. When life gets too hard, face it on your own. I'll stand as a light through
Yes, when words are not enough to tell you of our love, listen to our hearts. It's good to be back today. And I guess that's a little better than sitting right in the light, isn't it?
Yeah.
Good to be back, and we've had a good week. It had a very heavy snow, but that's what happens when it comes winter. So not to be unexpected. And today we've been talking, going back through and looking at the dimensions some, and the dimensions cover the entire universe, and then they are related to internalize them, and it's a whole nother universe within. And when you begin to understand the dimensions, you can apply them, as we've been doing, in a much greater way in our lives. Now, I'd mentioned that something was happening. We just came through a Aquarian stellium where there were several planets that lined up, and we then came through another stellium, which was a Capricorn stellium, where some of the same planets aligned themselves in Capricorn. And those two things took place. And then on February 2nd, I think today's the 6th, but on February 2nd, the number system kind of came into play too, but February the 2nd, which would be of 2022, February is 2, 22, the second month, the second day of 2022. So you get these twos that are piling up, and 22 is a very strong power base number, which is the year we're in. And then the number 2 itself is the power base for 11, and 11 is 22, of course, double portion, but 11 is a strong power base. So the astrologers are calling it an Aquarian Gateway, and on 2/2 of 22, this Aquarian Gateway opened up. And I mentioned it in the last Zoom meeting. It's very interesting. Looking forward to different things on it and be talking on it, but it lasts, this gateway, this opening into Aquarius, it lasts until February 22nd. So it's 22, 22, 2. Again, the twos just keep piling up. And there were major influences, is what they're saying is happening right now, with the vibrations, the frequencies, many of the things that are touched by the rotation of the Earth, the movement of the planets, everything, the moon, and so forth. We are finding out, they're saying that it's this between February 2nd and February 22nd of 22, it kind of it moves it into what they call warp speed. Things are going to begin to change very quickly in our feelings, in our inner beings, in the vibration and frequencies of the Earth and the universe, and major cosmic influences will begin to happen during this warp speed healing, is what they're calling it. And this is further amplified as we passed through last weekend. Aquarius 2.2 Gateway is what they call it. And it was on the 2nd of February, in tandem with the latest wave of high-frequency star-seeded light, which was the Capricorn stellium and the Aquarius stellium. All of this coming together all within not much more than a month. And the information is of these things are flooding the frequencies, the vibrations. They're flooding into the earth on a level of the earth that's beyond anything that's happened in hundreds of years. Now they're saying that Earth's vibration will increase again during the last week of January, which it did, as the next level of shift rides on, and we come in on the riding on the back of this Aquarian energy, humanitarian, life-giving, revolutionary, innovative, collaborative, fair-minded, and forward-thinking. These are things that are moving into the vibration. And importantly, these light downloads are helping to dismantle and clear out old toxic programming around inadequacies in the universe, in the earth, inferiorities, and senses of being less than. Is clearing all that up, and it's cleaning up that toxic stuff that kind of makes you feel that way, inadequate, less than something, inferior to something, or even superior to something. So in the months ahead, you're likely to have what they're calling pin sharp clarity, greater creativity, a desire for cooperative balance and alliance, partnerships grow stronger, and you'll gain a sense of unwavering emotional strength within. So this 20-day movement from the 2nd through the 22nd is really something that is cleaning out these toxic things that that Saturn brought on and Pluto brought on, and different ones that entered Aquarius ahead of Uranus and Jupiter, and caused a lot of the chaos that we've seen happening. Now, it's my understanding that from 2/2/22 to 2/22/22, we will be going through what is called the Aquarian Gateway. I thought it would be important because we may experience symptoms from this increased energy. We may begin to see things happening across the earth. We may begin to see some of the symptoms of the vibrations and the frequency. You may feel them yourself, and of course we'll see some of it. Here's the part of the copy of it that I was reading. It says, here's a copy of partial info on what we will experience and expect in this Aquarius Gateway. This portal will open up on February 2nd to February 22nd, and our passage will be complete, coming through the vibrations and the frequencies and the move into the Aquarian stellium and the Aquarium age around February 22nd, 2022. During that time frame, we will experience very unusual feelings, and there will be a rare numerical frequency, which numbers and math and everything, you know how much that affects the universe. And we will experience a very rare numerical frequency that will assist in catapulting the Earth and all her life through this Aquarian Gateway and into the frequencies of light that will assist in accelerating humanity's awakening process. So as we are waking up to a new age, a new day, and everything seems to be moving into a level playing field, moving out of that inadequacy and those feelings of inferior and things like that, we're moving into a greater day. The Aquarian Gateway, frequencies of light, and the rare numerical frequency of February 2nd, 2022 consists of 5 consecutive 2s, and then the master number 22 pulsates, and with the impetus of the power of all planes, 22 and 22 in the month 2, it will absolutely change the course of so many things going on in the world today. Everything from political to religious to economic to the climate. Many things will begin to change. The master number consistent of these 5 2s will amplify the divine potential of the master number 22 1,000-fold. So you're talking a power base, and then you're talking the strongest power base in number system, in frequencies and in vibrations, and then catapulting that 1,000-fold. And then it goes on to say by the February the 22nd of 2022, that numerical frequency will amplify the divine potential of the master number 10,000-fold. So what you're talking about is the Earth and its frequencies and vibrations being totally flooded and being amplified and being made greater and greater and greater. Now, on that day, we will complete our passage through to the Aquarian Gateway. And this Aquarian Gateway, if you're using the Earth as a center point, then as it moves out, it goes from the Earth to the Sun, from the Sun to Jupiter, from Jupiter to Saturn, from Saturn to Pluto. So that's your gateway. And on the 22nd is where it becomes the very strongest. And you know that Saturn has been in Aquarius. That's what brought on a lot of the chaos and things. And Pluto also has, Pluto and Saturn are almost square, trine. And they are not good planets to be moving about in a house together. So we had Saturn and Pluto doing that. Well, now Uranus is moving toward Aquarius. Uranus has been in Taurus for 3 years, and it's coming out of Taurus, and it's going to move into Aquarius. And along with that, you have Jupiter, which Jupiter and Uranus and Pluto are very good, a very good mixture. So we're going to see some things happen. Why is this Jupiter-Saturn cycle so important? So you had Saturn, now Jupiter's coming in. There's the 2 largest planets that you can see with the natural eye. And it is because it marks the ending of the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction cycle in the Earth signs since the 19th of July, 1802. So it's been 100 and some years, actually 200 and some years, since Jupiter and Saturn conjuncted together in the Earth, and they will appear so close in the sky that you'll be able to look at them and you almost think it's one bright planet. And on the 21st of December 2020, which was a year ago and something, the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction moves to 0 degrees of Aquarius. So in other words, they will begin to wane and lose their influence on this Aquarian age and on the things of Aquarius that we are doing. They begin to lose their influence, and they will appear, and they, on 2020, they move to a 0 degrees of Aquarius, and we will officially begin the air period. This is what astrologers are calling, we've moved into the air period, and it's a long but powerful transition from December 21st, 2020, which we're in it now, and it will go 140 years till 2159. And that air period, all of the air signs, Aquarius and Gemini and Libra, will begin to spread their influence as the planets move through their houses. So we will rise to a higher intellectual. The mental energy of the air element will become stronger and stronger, which is the mind. We are asked to reimagine, redefine the future of humanity. This is the best time to do it. The world and the ways we live. We are leaving behind the old, now impractical things, hard structured things, and limiting mental constitutions with gratitude and appreciation for the purpose that it has served. So we're moving out a lot of the old ways. And Pluto, which is traveling through right now, Pluto, its influence is to tear down and do away with old things and bring in new things. So we see all of this happening all around us. And so we've moved into what a lot of astrologers are calling the Great Capricorn Challenge. And it runs from 2020 to 2022 through 2022, and it's Pluto, Saturn, Jupiter, and Capricorn affecting the Aquarian age. Pluto is becoming stronger. Jupiter is moving in and becoming stronger, and it's moving Saturn out, which has been the strongest, and you've seen all the chaos and everything that's went on. And so it's going to begin to settle down. Uranus is in Taurus, has been there for 3 years, and Uranus is commonly called by the astrologists freedom from the known. Uranus, its influence doesn't like to deal with what's known. It likes to deal with what's unknown and bring it to light. So Uranus is moving in, and what we're looking at, I think, is a real calming, settling effect that's going to be moving across the earth. A lot of the nations are going to settle down. You're going to see a lot of these mandates, these things that are happening. You're going to see a lot of it begin to go away. You're going to see the people's movement, if you want to call it that. You're going to see it begin to come in, and you're going to see a lot of these things begin to go away. So, which I am very happy for. So today I wanted to take just a few minutes and talk about how we came through. I'm looking at several of the visions, and I'm looking at several things that have happened since the visions, and I'm kind of putting it all together, and I want to go back over it all but in a manner of updating it to what we know today, not necessarily just reading a vision or something like that, but updating it to what we've seen happen and what we know today. And so I'm piecing all that together. Tonight I wanted to discuss a few things. It was February the 8th, 2015, when we set up our new website, and Brother Ilario gave the announcement at 11 a.m. And it was February the 8th, 1954. I was born in Indiana at 11 a.m. and my birth number's 11. So a lot of 11s inside this Aquarian Gateway are beginning to take place. And that was February the 8th, 1962. The May 2nd, if you remember, May 2nd through the 6th was 1962 was a heavenly alignment that started, and it was 5 planets that aligned up. And then it began its aligning on February 8th, 1962, aligned itself. They all moved into alignment. And it was the same time that William Branham was stepping out to begin to open up those seals. So February 8th, 2002 through April the 11th, 2002, there was a configuration that formed and a heavenly alignment started. And 5 planets aligned again, and it was 40 years later. And we know that William Branham, the prophet, caught what was going on in the heavens, and in his message on communion, he brought it out very plainly that it was a great issue of the Spirit getting ready to move into the earth, and it was going to be great revelation that would break forth, and within less than a year he began to come out with the 7 seals, which would have been in March of that next year. So we see these things happening all around us. And so from 63, William Branham opened those seals up, and it brought on a new day. It brought on a new commission. He had a commission. He said what his commission was. As John the Baptist forerun the first coming of Christ, your message will forerun the coming word. And of course, here we sit. We are the coming word. And so he had that commission, and then he had the commission of Elijah the prophet to restore all things and to finish up the church ages. He had that commission, and to finish up the church ages, open the seals, close up the New Testament, which he said he did, and then move over into a brand new day. And so in 1962 February, Brother Branham is ministering, and he brings out Isaiah the 40th chapter, and he says that their sins and iniquities are remembered no more. You remember the voice of one crying in the wilderness, prepare ye the way of the Lord. And it was the commission of John the Baptist back there, but then when William Branham was over in 1962, he began to bring out Isaiah 40 and said that their sin was finished. It was all fulfilled, and he was bringing on a brand new day. So, of course, everyone went back home ministering the same things, talking about the same old traditions, the same old ideas, the same toxic bunch of religion that they always had, and the same church age mess. And William Branham came back in the indictment in 63. He was praying. He said, Lord, could you give us another chance? He said, we missed it. And so the Lord did exactly that. 40-year transition, and it came up to 2002, and in New York City, I was there in Meadowlands, and a vision broke open, a visitation, and William Branham was right there in front of me, and he was bringing out some things to me that I had never dreamed would be any part of my life. But anyway, my commission, one of the things that he told me that day, April 11th, 2002, Meadowlands in New York City, he said, tell the people their sins and iniquities are remembered no more. I remember I was thinking, how do you convince a people who are stooped in the idea of we're all sinners saved by grace? We need a mediator, we need an intercessor, we need all these things. How do you go about doing something like that? And I remember thinking that. And he told me not to worry about it, to go back and repeat it time and time and time again, and there would be a people who would come to that understanding. So that was one of the commissions that was given to me, was to break that veil, that traditional veil of sin. Everybody sinned. All have sinned and come short of the glory of God. Everybody needs the blood. Everybody, and it was a constant thing down through the ages until it was a tradition that they were so stooped in you couldn't get them out from it. And it took years for me, from 2002 to 2014, for even me to really catch. In 14, I really caught the understanding that I absolutely am sinless. Even the messenger who was given the commission was having a hard time bringing that commission forth. But it was to tell the people their sins and iniquities are remembered no more. And he told me, and the angel of the Lord that deals with me in several ways talked with me and said, you have a commission, and the commission is to transition the people from the second coming to the third coming. Because, to be honest with you, all of us in the message, at least all that I knew all across the world, maybe there was some in some corner somewhere, I don't know. I know how the Lord moves with people. But everybody was waiting on the second coming. And the first coming, we said, was Jesus at Calvary. But we didn't even apply or believe correctly in the first coming. Because the first coming, what was the first coming to do? Redeem us. And we didn't believe we were totally redeemed. We were still waiting on a body change. We were still waiting on many things. And so bringing the people through that transition of no more sin, no more iniquity, it's remembered no more, you are sinless, you are perfect, you are spotless. That was a great task. And still today, across the earth, many people just laugh at this understanding that we have. And it is almost laughable when you think about how far stooped in sin, or in the illusion of sin, we were and needed to come out. And then the second thing, on top of saying we're sinless, We're white as snow. We are spotless. We are perfect. On top of that is to say, transition the people and say, look, the second coming has already happened. And the third coming is what's going on now. It's happened too. I remember so many times traveling across the world and bringing out this commission about the second coming and showing how that the second coming was at the day of Pentecost. And that second coming was on the day of Pentecost, the return of Jesus Christ in the form of the Holy Ghost. And then the third coming was Revelations 10. So I had to transition the people and get it in their minds that the second coming started all the way back at the baptism of the Holy Ghost on the day of Pentecost. And the second coming was the entire 7 church ages. And then when Christ returned to earth and set his feet on Sunset Mountain, which our prophet said he did, in what is the attraction on the mountain, that was the third coming. That was the coming wherein Brother Branham told us, first he redeemed us. Number 1, at Calvary, he redeemed us, which we have just in the last few years come to that understanding, that we really are completely redeemed and redemption is over. And then he said, second, he said it's the catching away. And that was the 7 church ages where he just kept catching away. Caught them away in Paul, then Irenaeus, then Martin, and Luther, and Wesley, and Branham. And all the way down through there was a catching away, a secret catching away. And then the third coming is when Jesus Christ returned back to earth from Sunset Mountain, and it was all of us that came back to earth in this third coming. And we are still right now manifesting the third coming of Jesus Christ, which is us, the many-membered body. Now, many people have a very hard time getting past that first coming. They're waiting on the second. And we have books, and we have tapes, and we have CDs, we have website, and all these things are in the website. All you need to do is go and listen, and you'll catch up and you'll understand what's going on. But Jesus Christ, St. John 14, if you believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. And I go to prepare a place for you. And I will come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there ye may be also. And he did just that. He went away. He ascended. He descended back into the earth on the day of Pentecost in the form of the Holy Ghost. Got into the church age people and come all the way down through in the second coming, catching them away to their message and their day. And then the third coming, he returns back to earth. And what does he return back to earth for in the third coming? First coming, redemption. Second coming, catching away. Third coming, to live here in the earth. We're not going anywhere anymore. We're not leaving here. Someone said, oh, we're going to fly away, and we're not leaving here. The third coming already happened, and we are right here, and we have broke that veil, and we have broke the first coming veil, we broke the second coming veil, and we broke the third coming veil. And we are living in the earth right now, back here from Sunset Mountain, and we are living in a new day, a new hour, a new world, and we've moved out of the church ages into a brand new coming. So I wanted to just go through these and help us come up to where when I start talking on these thick veils that we're breaking, which there was 2 of the thickest right there, that we'll kind of understand them. I remember when my brother passed away. And I was there when he passed. I was holding his hand. And when he was done, the ambulance came. I got up and I took off, and I was at my father's house, and I went on a long walk down through the woods. But I remember the angel of the Lord dealt with me. And he came and talked with me, and he told me, he said, it's your commission to move the people through thick veils, thick clouds, things they cannot normally break through. It's your commission, is to move the people through thick veils that they could not step through by themselves. And I remember him telling me that. And he told me, he said, you have to go back. They're not going to understand you. And you need to have much patience. And you have to keep going back and talking and revealing it and just keep bringing it back to the people again, and you'll move them through these thick veils of tradition and all of these things that we have carried with us for centuries. You'll be able to move them through. Just have patience and keep going back. And that's what I've done. I have had patience with people who cannot get past their sin. They're all the time, they think they're sinners. They can't get past the fact that their garments are not soiled any longer. Your garments are not yellow. You're perfect. You're in every way. You're eating on the body of the Lord, and you're making the perfect body with a perfect understanding and a perfect walk. Moving through that thick veil. And there's still people that I'm working with and trying and talking and all the websites and the videos and everything that goes out, trying to help them understand. And then that second one, that we're not in the second coming. We're not in the first coming, but we're in the third coming. That was a huge traditional veil. And then the angel told me, he said, you have to keep going back and keep saying it and keep putting it in front of the people time and time and time again. Then I remember, and I'll go through the vision. I'm just going through things that were commission given to me this evening for just a couple of minutes. I remember in the vision in 2004, a pencil was put into my hand. And Brother Branham said to me, you need to understand that pencil in your hand. You need to understand it. It is the greatest power in earth. It is yours now. Use it wisely. And I'll go back and we'll go through that and we'll take a good look at it. But that was a commission that was given to me, and that was to understand this pencil that was put into my hand, that it had the greatest power. Well, I know what has the greatest power in the world, and that is the Spirit, the Word. My words are spirit and they are life. So the power of the Word and the life had been put into my hands, and I knew that depending on how I used it was going to help people and move them through thick veils. In the vision, I had the pencil and I began to move it. William Branham handed it to me. He said, this is yours now, use it wisely. And I began to move the pencil, and as I had the pencil, I was looking up in the heavens, and it was ripping a veil right down through the heavens, just tearing back a thick veil that was in the sky. And there was old words in the sky, and it was just ripping back. And new words were flooding into the sky and just covering the entire sky. And it was so powerful, I stopped. I remember I stopped and I looked at the pen like, what is this? And Brother Branham screamed. He said, don't stop. Touch the earth. And I brought it on down, and when I touched the earth, there was a huge explosion. In the visitation, I just thought, that killed everything. But when the explosion was finished, I could use that pencil, I could use that pen that was put into my hand, and he said, use it. He said, I want to show you the power that's in this. And he said, point at that tree. And I pointed it at the tree, and he said, now move the tree over there. So I moved, and the tree moved with the pencil and went into the ground over here. And I thought, wow. He said, now move this tree over here. And I moved it. And I noticed that when I was moving a tree, all of the scenery was changing. Not just the tree moving, but everything was changing up, and it looked all brand new each time I made a movement. And so I was looking at the pen, and he said, it's yours. It's in your hand now. Use it wisely. So it was my commission to understand this power of the Aquarian age, to understand this power that we had moved into, and to know that it's the greatest power in the earth, and it's ours now. When I'm talking about these things, I'm talking about myself because it was personally me, but it's all of us. This is all of us. You have the pen in your hand. You are the ones that has the transition from second to third coming. You're the ones that are telling the people you're sinless, you're perfect in every way. We don't need a mediator, an intercessor, or nothing else like that anymore. It's over and it's done. You're the ones now that I was able to help you through some of these thick veils, you're doing it for thousands and thousands of people everywhere. So that pen was a great thing in our hands. And the commission was to arrange the grounds for a new message of the generations after the second coming. In other words, we stepped on new ground. William Branham, I said, I remember in the vision, in the visitation, I said, I didn't mean to get onto your grounds. He said, no, don't you worry about that. These are new grounds, and everything that you do, it's going to bless the people, and you stay here and you eat on these grounds all that you want. And it was grounds for a new message to the generations after the second coming. After the second coming finished, the third coming it broke open. William Branham came out of those seals, opened up a new day, opened up the new message, began to minister it, had a couple of short years, and he moved off the scene. And this new ground and this new message was to come to the generations after the second coming. We're not teaching about second coming material. We're not teaching about first coming material. And somebody said, you never mention Calvary hardly any anymore. It's done. It's finished. It's over. It done what it was supposed to do. Well, you never mentioned, the baptism of the Holy Ghost anymore. It's done. It's over. It's done what it was supposed to do. The second coming is finished up. The third coming is for us to move into the earth and set up the kingdom and live here. And we're not going anywhere. We are right here, and we are going to live here, and we are going to change things and change the grounds and change the heavens and change the earth. We're going to change everything so that we can live here in harmony for the generations after the second coming and into the third. It was a great time, and I received these things in this commission to break these thick veils, to move these veils out of the way, to get us through them, and it was to take the people to the other side of Mount Sunset. We seen Mount Sunset. We understand Mount Sunset. But Brother Branham said, I went on up past Mount Sunset, and I went into Mount Lemon up there, he said, where the birds and things can't even hardly go. And he said, I got up in there. Well, that's where we're at now. We're up in there beyond Mount Sunset, and we've come over to Mount Sunrise. We're on the other side. The sun is rising here. It is the rising of the sun. It was very hard to bring this to the people also, because everybody seemed like that they wanted to live in the end time. It's the end time. It's the end time. And I kept saying, no, this is not the end time. This is a new day. This is a new world. The end time is finished. We made it through the end time. They made it through the end time in Adam's day. They made it through the end time in Noah's day, in Jesus' day. They made it through the end time in William Branham's day. And here we are. We're on the other side of all that end time. And we have moved into Mount Sunrise. And when we moved into Mount Sunrise, it's a brand new day. It's a brand new message. And we've gotten past the evening time. It's no longer songs about this is the evening time. It's later than you think. Well, it sure is. It's so far beyond the evening time. It's morning time. The night is far spent, and the day is at hand. And we're right here, right now, living in the day of the third coming. And it's a brand new day. I received this from a brother. And it was a prophecy that he prophesied over me some years ago. But it said, hold firm in the battle, my brother. Heavens and earth is bearing witness to your obedience. And this is when we were breaking into all these new things. Heaven and earth is bearing witness to your obedience. Great reward in his kingdom lies just before you, though the trial of the hour is pressing hard, and it was. Men everywhere were fighting and really coming against this. And 2014 was a major happening. And the cries of the faithful servant shake both the heavens and the earth. My anointing will not leave you, for you have been called to this hour for my glory. Those who bless you will be blessed, and those who withstand my word, though in a vessel of clay, are judged already, saith he who set the pattern, and will preserve it to the consummation. So we came to the consummation of all of those patterns. And the Holy Spirit was speaking through a brother and telling me that I had been faithful. The anointing was going to move us into a brand new day, move us into a brand new time, and it was going to be very hard, but it was going to be great reward. And so when that was around the same time that all of these things were taking place, then there was a word from the Lord that came, and it said, spoke to me, a sister, and it was right out in one of the assemblies, and said, O mighty man of valor, you have served me oh so well. You stood and preached the truth, battling so much hell. You hold my banner high, and get yourself out of the way. And anything you need, dear son, it's yours today, I say. I remember when that came, it was such a blessing because my heart was being torn out. People were leaving. People were just weren't grasping these traditional veils that I was breaking. But I remember when that came, it blessed me so much. It gave me one of those, I don't know what you call it, maybe an anchor, that every once in a while I go back and read that. Whatever's yours today, my son, it's you can have it, is what I say. So I remember in the the vision, 2004. Brother Branham was screaming. He said, "No, son," because I remember I had that pen in my hand. It was cold, kind of a cool day, and he took it out of his pocket, he handed it to me and said, "It's yours now." And I put my head down, and I remember I was crying, and I was thinking to myself, because he was leaving, he turned around, he was walking away. And I had so much in my mind that I wanted to talk about, that I wanted to just discuss it. And he was on the move. I mean, he was not messing around. He was going. And I thought, don't leave me alone. I had that feeling. And I remember I heard some stuff like, and I looked, and it was tears dripping off my chin and hitting those cold leaves on the ground. And he turned around. He said, "No, son, you are not alone. Don't be afraid or dismayed. All power in heaven and earth is given unto you. Wherever you set your foot in these hunting grounds, things will come to life." And then he said, "Go to the river deep in the woods and drink there for your strength. The river will sustain you on your journey. Remember, you have promises to keep and miles to go before you sleep. Miles to go before you sleep." I remember not too long after that, I was working for the corporation, and I had to go to Memphis. And there was something, I don't know what it was, but there was something wrong. And it was in my stomach area, and it was hurting me so bad. And so I was there in Memphis, and I laid back in the bed, and I was thinking, I'm not going to be able to go to the meetings I'm supposed to be at. I can't hardly walk. And I laid back in the bed, and I fell into like a vision. And I saw myself in a woods, and there was an old cabin, and I heard this just terrible roaring sound, and it was moving through the woods. You could hear it crashing, and you could hear it destroying so many things, almost like a tornado, but it was something. And I took off running for the cabin, and I made it inside, and that thing hit the cabin so hard, and in the vision, it felt like it just ripped my stomach open. I remember laying there, and I got up, and I thought to myself, I don't know what this thing is, but we can't move any further until I face this. I don't know what it is. And I walked to the door, and I opened up the cabin door, and I took 2 or 3 steps, thinking about this place. Go to the river, deep in the woods. Drink there for your strength. The river will sustain you on your journey. Well, I walked out of the cabin door, and I took like 1 or 2 steps down onto the ground. And I looked around, and I thought, whatever you are that seems to be holding us back, I have to face you right here and now. And I heard this voice. And the voice said, "What do you think you're doing?" And I turned and I looked, and the angel of the Lord was sitting there on the porch. And he said, you know what my word said to you. Why are you going to walk out there and let that thing kill you? Turn around, follow the pathway through the woods to the river, and drink from there and get your strength. And I turned around and I walked down through the woods. I could hear that thing roaring. It never came near me. I got into the river. I began to drink from that river. I felt all of those things go away. I woke up the next morning. I looked around. I was totally healed. And I was able to go to all the meetings, and all of that was gone. But that was almost 3 years apart. And the angel was still right there to remind me, go to the river. You know what the river always is. It's the Spirit. And drink there for your strength. And don't think that you've got to fight the whole world. You're not alone. The river will sustain you on your journey. Remember, you have promises to keep and miles to go before you sleep. And I remember I walked back up there and I thanked him. And he was sitting there on the porch. And he said, you have many things to do. You have much to talk on. You have to break these veils. Do not get sidetracked. Just keep moving. Keep breaking these veils. Then I remember he told me, he said, fear nothing, as I will go before you. You know, Moses had an angel went before him. We have an angel that goes before us. Fear nothing, as I will go before you and remove the obstacles of nature that would be placed in your way. Many ministries of my Lord have been used to accompany the Gentile remnant, and so is yours as I walk before you. So Gentile meaning the whole world. As I accompanied the prophet Moses and changed the elements of the earth, even as I accompanied Elijah and shut up the heavens and the elements of the heavens, so will I be with you, and I will change the elements of heaven and earth for you. Well, look at what we've just done. Look at what we've just come through. Look at the last 8 years, but look at the last just little while. Now, this was from a sister when I was in North Vernon, Indiana, and it was 1977, and I was holding a 3-day meeting in North Vernon, Indiana. There was an elderly sister. She couldn't make it to the meetings because she was in a wheelchair and several things. But anyway, after the meeting, a couple of people said, Sister so-and-so wants to see you. And I didn't know her. I said, okay, I'll go. And as soon as I walked in her house, bang, prophecy began to come forth. She said, my son, thou art chosen to bring light to Israel. Now I want you to listen to this. Here is a 23-year-old boy who has known nothing but tradition all of his life. And these things started coming. I wrote them down right as soon as she said them because I personally thought, what in the world is she talking about? My son, thou art chosen to bring light to Israel. In my mind, I was thinking, I just don't think I'm one to go over to Israel and preach to the Israelites. Well, it's not that Israel she was talking about. But anyway, it says to bring light to Israel and to gather the seed from the cloud. You know, okay, what in the world's that about? Your journey is sure. Your feet are set to trod in a gospel that is not known. I thought, well, you know, we've been in this gospel for a couple thousand years. What do you mean it's not known? But I was standing there and it just kept flowing out of her mouth. Your feet are set to trod in a gospel that is not known, and you are not of the establishment of the message. That's all I knew. I grew up in the message. You are not of the establishment of the message, and you will come to see that you are to suffer greatly in breaking the barriers of darkness for many, as the message folk come against you. And that is exactly what has happened. And it's great darkness. They just want to stay in the unknown. You are not of the establishment of the message. You will come to see that you are to suffer greatly in breaking the barriers of darkness for many, as the message folk come against you. I have hid you behind a veil that is gone by. Now you know what veil that was. Church ages, all of the message, everything that had to do with the church ages, everything that had to do with traditions, the Bible, everything else. I've hid you behind a veil that's gone by. That veil was finished. William Branham closed it up, sealed it away. That veil was finished, but the Spirit was speaking, said, I've hid you behind a veil that's gone by, and I will move you among a people that must come out from behind that veil. Well, look what we've done. By the hundreds of thousands coming out from behind that old church age veil, that old tradition, that old second coming tradition, that old sin tradition, that all those things, the traditions, that all those veils that we were hid behind. I hid you behind that veil, and I'll move you out from it with a people that must come from behind that veil. And you will not stay too long in this false light that I have hid you behind. Well, I look at it, and sometimes I think, man, that has been the longest journey of my life. And other times it just seems like yesterday, when all these things begin to break so fresh to us. I have chosen you, and I have chosen your time to see the rising from the dust. Still the lady. I have chosen you, I have chosen your time to see the rising from the dust. You must walk in the day star at the breaking of the day. When the evening is clear to others, and they envision the end time, the end of the world, that is when you shall rise in the morning horizon, and not the shadows of an evening sunset. You must walk with the day star in the new day. Here we are. 1977, these things were being said to me. I couldn't have told you what it meant more than anything in the world, but now I see exactly what was going on and how we've come through every one of these things. Be not afraid, for I will do this, and the seed in the cloud shall prosper. Now we understand the seed in the cloud, the theophanies dropping into the earth from Sunset Mountain, moving throughout the earth, getting into human bodies. Be not afraid, for I will do this, and the seed in the cloud shall prosper. As the desert places bloom in roses, and the food from the storehouse is plenteous. You will stand before many races and upon many continents, and preach the everlasting gospel. As the angel, you will enlighten the earth with your glory. And I look back at that, and I think I've been on 6 of 7 continents bringing this message to literal millions of people. And I have preached the everlasting gospel. And I believe that this that we have, this understanding, this breaking, is enlightening the entire earth with its glory. Then we came from 77, 63, the opening of those seals. Then we came through prophecies. We came through 40 years of transition. We came across to 2002. We caught the vision 2004, 2006, 2007, on over to 2014. And in 2014, there was another great happening in the earth. There was the alignment, the 5 planetary alignment in 2002. There was the 5 planetary alignment in 62. And then in 2014, there was what's called a cardinal grand cross. At the same time that the Holy Spirit was dealing with us in New Zealand in April of 2014 and breaking open new veils and bringing on a universal soul change and bringing on an understanding that would break open into the earth. At the same time that we were breaking this brand new day, bringing this brand new message, bringing us to inclusiveness, bringing us to oneness of the Spirit, bringing us to all of these great understandings that we are sitting in today and enjoying. At the same time, the cardinal grand cross was hanging in the heavens. And they called it a quantum gateway. We're sitting right in the middle of the Aquarian Gateway right now. But that was called the quantum gateway, and it had major transformations. It began to break all the old systems, all the old political governments, all the old corporation style things, leaders, lifestyles, the way leaders lead, the way lifestyles were in the earth. Major transformations were taking place in this quantum transformation. Societal freedom, rebellion, revolutions, awakened visions, consciousness, conscious desires, unity of the I am, diversity. We begin to break up into the I am. We begin to understand who we were. We begin to break into the oneness and know that there's only one Spirit directing the universe. We know that there is a dual contrast. We know all that, and we understand that it is us that's doing everything that's going on. And during this Grand Cardinal Cross, Pluto was at a 13 degree, Mars was at 13 degree, Jupiter was at 13 degree, and Uranus was at 13 degree inside this Grand Cross. 13, 13, 13, 13, showing love, the divine love. That message was now breaking and moving into the earth. It was 2014, these major changes of justice and truth and transparency. The apocalypse was coming on the scene. That's what was happening. 2014 brought on the apocalypse, and everything started being revealed. Good, bad, and ugly, whatever you want to call it, everything started uncapping. We went to the rooftops and we began to proclaim everything. Relationships and marriages, fighting for a cause, explosions, all of these great things, we were watching them going on. And a great expansion was taking place through this Grand Cross. It was moving out of intellect and into the heart, out of intellect and into emotion and love and things like that, moving into service and humanitarian walks and emotional intelligence. We begin to move into our home. Our heart is our home. And that was taking place in April of 2014. And by December of 2014, when we went into the Philippines, it was breaking wide open. And there was such a movement, and immediately all of these questions began to come up about universalism, and is everybody saved? Is anybody lost? Is there any sin left in the planet? Is on and on. All these questions started coming up, and the answers to them I wasn't even worried about. When people were just questioning one after another, because I knew. I stood at Brother Edwin of Roman's place. I remember the last message that I preached on 2014, and it was I'd done an autopsy on the body, the Third Testament body, and I said it's dead, and we need to do an autopsy and figure out why it died. And I said I don't even want to be a prophet anymore. I don't want to be your prophet. I don't want to be anything. And we broke into a brand new day. And many, many, many went their way. Just as the Holy Spirit said they would. Your hardest fight will be with the message people. Just as the angel said it would be. Just as the woman prophesied it would be. But since 2014, with all of the breaking away and all of the changes and all of the things that was taking place, when I look at this and I see it happening by the end of 2014, and then when it came into 15, I remember it was March the 8th, the same day that the angel of the Lord, the 7 angels, appeared to William Branham on Sunset Mountain. It wasn't February 28th. February 28th, they took the picture. But those angels, Brother Branham was down in Texas at that time, and he was in a trial saving a boy's life that was on death row. He came back, got to Arizona March the 7th, went up into the mountain with him on March the 8th, and that's when everything began to take place. Well, on March the 8th, I remember of 2015, there was 4 angels that came to me, and they broke open a brand new day to me. They busted my idols. I remember plain as anything. It was William Branham and Paul and Jesus Christ and my angel. And they told me I was in a very deep place, a valley of decision, whether to move forward from 14 or to hold on to all those little safe traditional things we had. And they told me, they said, many good men have died in the valley right where you're at right now. And what are you going to do? I remember telling them, I'm moving forward. I can't stay where I'm at. I'm moving forward. And those angels, they kept moving about me and telling me and talking to me and showing me what I needed to do and how I needed to move through this. And from that time of April 14 through March of 15 and on out to today, February 6, sitting right in the gateway of the Aquarian Gateway, coming through the quantum gateway of the Grand Cross, sitting here now, looking all around us and looking at everything that's happening and looking at the movement of the heavenly pattern and how Pluto and Jupiter are moving into Aquarius and how Saturn is moving out and how Neptune is going to move in. And Neptune, a very spiritual planet, bringing spiritual vibes, getting ready to move into Aquarius in 23. There is so much going on, and the vibration and the frequency has extended and expanded so high. People don't even know what to do with themselves. They don't know. Look at the scribes. I'll call them scribes. It's media. It's always been the media. Look at them. They're falling totally apart. Completely falling apart. And all of this censorship and all of this cancel culture and all of these things that's going on. It's going on because things are being revealed. And things are happening at such a high rate, a warp rate of speed, that the human mind just can't collect it all. It can't understand it all. So it just cancels out. Cancel this out. Cancel that out. We don't believe this. We don't believe that. And what they're doing is they're putting themselves in a position to where they're going to miss the great things that are happening in the earth today that are moving us into a higher frequency, a higher vibration, moving us into those great things about the Grand Cross, the great things about the Aquarium stellium, the Capricorn stellium, and this Aquarian Gateway. So many things are happening, and it's for us. We're catching it. Astrologers are catching it. The wise men, astrologers, caught Jesus when he came into the earth. And there's wise men, astrologers, that are catching these things that are going on. And it's up to us to find them, to study them out, to let our spirit, our very being, move into it and be a part of it. It's a great day. It's a great understanding. That's what I wanted to bring tonight. I wanted you to understand we have moved into a massive gateway, which is pulling many, many, many things through into greater vibration now. We'll go into these visions and these understandings and look at how they happen for today, and look at the updates and everything about them. I hope that it's been a help to you.
You are forever in my life. You see me through the seasons. Cover me with your hand and lead me in your righteousness. And I look to you, and I wait on you. I'll sing to you all a hymn of love for your faithfulness to me. I'm carried in everlasting arms. You never let me go. Through it all, to you all a hymn of love for your faithfulness to me. I'm carried in everlasting arms. You never let me go.